Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us as we celebrate Women in Construction Week here at Levelset. Our first nomination goes to Alaina Worden. She is the Credit and Collections Manager with Carson Team. Congratulations, Alaina, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored for the opportunity.
Well, I know it was definitely deserved. So we'll just jump right in. Every year, Levelset does a Women in Construction recognition. We like to recognize people that don't necessarily get, any congratulations or kudos. They're kind of the people that are in the back, get everything done, make everything perfect, but don't get the recognition for it. So it's something that's very near and dear to our hearts. And I'm very excited to do this with Alaina, as she's been part of our community, I think, from the beginning, maybe April of last year. So it's been a while, and she's been a big part of this, and I'm really glad that she can just talk with you guys and let you know how she got where she got, and maybe some insights or tidbits on how you can get to where she is. So we will go ahead and start with the first question. Alaina, if you just want to tell us about your journey, how you got where you are, and then how you got with Carson Team.
Okay, so I started my journey way back in 1997, so 25 years ago. It's so hard to believe that I've been in, credit for that long. So I started with my career working for RMLS, and I started there as the phone receptionist and worked my way up into the AR department, posting payments, sending invoices, talking about different issues with the membership, that sort of thing. I had no idea that an actual credit department existed at that point. That was really my first taste of kind of credit. From there, I moved over to Western Pacific Building Materials and quickly moved into the credit department there. And that was really my first defined credit department. I started there as the credit associate, and over my 10-year span with the company, I worked my way up to the corporate assistant credit manager. During my time at Westpac, I created a collections and letter series, filed liens, small claims, garnishments. I built a legal tracking system and became the designated trainer for all new credit professionals, both at our corporate office as well as our branches that had credit professionals. This is where I'd say my career in credit really started. I was excited to make collection calls and solve issues and build relationships with the customers. And I quickly coined on the phrase, you get more from honey than you do with vinegar, meaning being nice and building relationships ensured most of the time that I would be paid first. And the saying, robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always wanted to be Paul, and I always wanted to make it a point that I was Paul, and what could I do to be Paul? And so I would take notes on if somebody told me that their child was having a basketball tournament or something like that, and the next time I talked to them I would follow up. And so I really engaged and built relationships with my customers. During my tenure at Westpac is when the housing crash, the Great Recession 2009 came about, and so that was interesting to navigate those waters, really still being newish in the credit industry. I mean, I think at one point we had over 100 mechanic liens filed, and just trying to navigate what it looked like, and us, like everyone else, trying to keep our doors open and continue to serve our customers the best we could with the crash that was happening around us. So from Westpac, I moved into a credit underwriting supervisor role for ProBuild. It's most known now as a Builder's First Choice, and I was part of a team to centralize our credit hubs into a centralized Western credit group. And so I managed and led a team of 5, and that quickly changed into centralizing on a national basis. So although I oversaw the underwriting functions from the credit line increases to approving new credit lines and filing mechanic liens and intent notices, I also wrote the flow on how the underwriting functions worked, and defined timelines on what tasks should be completed and within what time frame, what seemed to make the most sense for the needs of the sales team as well as the needs for my credit team. Then from there, I moved again over into a corporate credit manager role for Dolan Northwest. So they're mostly known as like Globe Lighting, Seattle Lighting. I managed and led a team of 4 there. And upon my arrival, there was 0 processes in place, like no rhyme or reason on why we did anything. So I built a credit and policy guide from the ground up. and I oversaw the legal aspects for the credit department, as well as managed all of the KPIs and trained and enhanced my department knowledge through different educational sessions. And that's really where I got my I need to build some efficiencies in credit kind of mantra kind of started. So from there, I moved over to tech equipment, and they sell new trucks and trailers, but they also have a division, a leasing division, as well as parts and service division. So a lot of interaction with the customers. When I went over there, I led a team of 8. And there was no written credit policy in place. It was just a lot of, this is how we do it. And so everybody just did things because that's the way it was always done, and didn't question why it was done that way. So I wrote out a credit policy and procedure guide and enhanced my skills on building efficiencies in credit. I oversaw the growth and development of my team, as well as taking additional courses to master my own skills. And then from tech, I went back into the construction realm and moved over to ORPAC building product. And I went over there to assist with building efficiencies within the department. So they already had a defined credit policy. It was more about writing how-to guides and how to digitally store the data and how to make it easy and accessible for the team. I eventually managed and led the team of 4 as the corporate assistant credit manager, and worked closely with the credit manager on the KPIs and efficiencies. It was here that I borrowed, with permission, the phrase bigger, better, faster, stronger, more efficient. And now I am at Carson, which is a fuel supplier. We supply from gas stations to home heating. We also install and repair furnaces, air conditioners, car washes. I oversee and manage a team of 11, as well as 4 students, which has been interesting during the COVID pandemic to manage students from afar when we had them in-house. So I am responsible for overseeing the success of the department within our collection efforts. I manage all of our KPIs. I enhance growth and development of my team. And here again, I wrote a credit policy and put the same efficiencies in place that I have at my previous companies. So
I'd love to know. I would love to know more about the students that you said you work with or that you manage.
Yeah, so we partner with Del LaSalle High School, and it is an interactive program that the school has to allow students who need help with paying tuition to be able to offset part of their tuition through donations of different companies and organizations. And so we choose to pay for 4 students to help with their high school education. And in turn, they come and work for us 1 day a week on a rotating schedule. And then every other week, they're there 2 days a week. And so we just teach them what we know in credit and help to develop them into having, business skills, and just teaching them different tasks that they can take with them as they grow in their career and go off to college and start their first, real paying jobs. And they'll have some time under their belt of being able to know how to do different things.
So is it your company that just your company in general? Do they do different things, or is it just the credit department that reaches out to these students?
Well, so our accounting team has had some interaction with them, and then also our front desk. So we do kind of share the students a little bit. It's been really hard because of the pandemic to really have them go into a lot of different areas to sit with some of the other departments, like the sales people are out in the warehouse or that sort of thing. So they've mostly have been stuck in credit, learning how to scan checks and answer the phone and answer simple questions and that sort of thing.
That's really neat. I like that. I wish more companies did stuff like that. I might have to ask you how we could get involved in something like that.
Yeah, it's a great program to be involved in, and they're always looking for additional partners.
That's awesome.
And you can do the partnership remote as well.
So I do have to ask, early on, you were talking about the fact that you like making collection calls. Back when I was a credit manager, my daughter called me psychotic for enjoying that. So what is it about it that you enjoy? That it doesn't rub you the wrong way when people are mad or any of that?
I think that I genuinely enjoy talking to people. I like the diversity of people's lives, and really just want to make an impact every single day in somebody's life. And I think that in making collection calls, yeah, I'm calling and I'm asking for money, but it doesn't always have to be a negative.
Mhm.
And so it's really about just building those relationships with those people and just kind of learning what's going on in their world, and then how can I support them. And I've even worked with some customers that have been in pretty dire straits, and these are sole proprietors that just maybe their business grew a little faster than what they have the skill set for. And so working with them and talking with them about how to build a cash flow chart and how to be able to manage like their trucks. Are their trucks making them money? How much are they putting out? And that sort of thing. And so I think that within collections, that goes hand in hand. And I think that there's maybe a little bit of a sickness behind like the success of collecting something that seems to be uncollectible. And I just really enjoy that. And I think that for collections, you either love collections or you hate it. There's no in between.
Absolutely agree. What does your typical day-to-day look like? Or is it the same every day? Maybe it's different every day.
My day is definitely different every day. So for me right now, a typical day lasts about 9 or so hours. There's daily management of the team and what their needs are, approving credit lines for amounts over my underwriter's limits. I also work closely with my collectors on managing their portfolio and how to spot risk changes that are happening within their customer base. Yeah, I'm constantly mentoring and training and educating the team. I just think that education is key to success, and the more they know, the better they'll be. I work closely with my cash apps on a daily basis to help them continue to build efficiencies within their duties as we look for a solution to bring additional help, but not additional headcount. So that's kind of the challenge that we have right now. And we live out our credit motto every day: bigger, better, faster, stronger, more efficient. It's written in our weekly meeting notes, and it's cited at least once a week. I did take the bigger, better, faster, stronger step a little bit far to, think bigger picture, be better at your task, be faster on timelines, be stronger with knowledge, and be more efficient by streamlining processes. And so I just really kind of encompass that every single day as I'm talking with my team and leading them and answering questions and making decisions on what's best for the company.
Very good. Definitely sounds like you keep busy.
Yes, I do.
What skills have you found that are essential for the position that you're in, or a position like yours?
I feel like in order to be, I guess, a good leader, you have to be a better listener. So listening skills are key to success for credit management. You also have to be able to think outside the box, and you need to be able to think 2 to 3 steps ahead of what changes will look like, not only for your department, but for the other departments. You need to be a good negotiator. You must have the analytical abilities to help enhance that communication, and be willing to teach and explain why certain decisions are being made. So when you're making a change within your department, you need to be able to explain why you're making that change and how is it going to better the company as a whole. You need to be patient and understanding, but don't allow your kindness to be taken advantage of. So you have to just kind of try and find that happy medium. And you need to continue to invest in your own learning as well. If you're not continuing to learn and be, better yourself, then how are you going to enhance your department or lead your team to be better?
Absolutely. Continued education has always been a big pull that I believe in.
Absolutely.
So, main challenge in your position, I mean, maybe some highs and lows. Obviously, a lot of the training and the learning is big, but do you see anything maybe internally or
Well,
even just with customers?
yeah, I think the issue at hand right now is the pandemic, right? So we're 2 years into this, and not every company is working remote anymore, but our department is, and there's no discussion on when we'll go back to being in house. And so for me, I had to learn how to equip myself to be able to manage from afar, because that was foreign to me, and then also be able to engage with my employees to make them feel like they're not out there on an island by themselves. And how do we hold each other accountable and continue to grow and develop and build that team network when we're not sitting next to each other and we can't just rouse each other or overhear a conversation and say, hey, here's my 2 cents on that. And so just trying to figure out how to be able to engage with them every single day has been one of my biggest challenges over the past 2 years.
So what do you think is the best thing that you've come up with to stay in communication and have them know, you're there anytime they need you and you know what they're doing, that sort of thing?
Well, I think for me, I reach out and check on them on a pretty consistent basis, just one-on-one. We utilize Teams. So it's like an instant messenger type program. And so I'll just send a message out to 1 or 2 of them each day and just say, hey, how are you doing today? How are you holding up? How are things going for you? And just kind of engage in some conversation. And it's amazing the different topics that come out of that, just reaching out and saying, hey, how are you? And they share things that they probably wouldn't have shared had I not reached out.
Yeah, I think once you actually do, or anybody get back to that office thing, bringing everybody back together, I think it's going to have a new way that people interact with each other. It used to be all professional at the office, but now everybody's home. So, I think you start talking about things that you wouldn't necessarily talk about.
It's so true. And so I also hold a weekly meeting with my team. And yes, there's important stuff that needs to be shared in the meeting. But I also take time to play games. So especially around every holiday, for certain around every holiday, I will throw in a few different games. And just to hear my team laugh and, have fun with it. One of our fun things that we're doing right now is a game called Drawasaurus. And so you can just Google Drawasaurus. And really the concept behind it is it's like charades, right? That's really what it is, but an online version. And so it's really fun to watch everybody kind of draw out this image and then you gain points for it. And so then the team becomes competitive on like who's going to win that round. And so it's been really fun to just watch them interact with each other with that. And then I also have had different guest speakers from different departments come on and just share on certain topics about things that would interact with our teams. I have a lot of newer team members. And so for us learning about different product lines and kind of the differences of each product line, having somebody come on and talk about that and just a variety of topics just to kind of keep it fun and engaged. And it's not just me speaking every single week. Hey, do this, and this, to put some fun into it.
That's awesome. I think you're one of those people, not to say you're going to get out of credit, but just kind of moving on to be one of those speakers and instructors kind of over the whole industry. I mean, ever since I met you, you're always talking about teaching. That's why you've done a lot of webinars for us. You're very comfortable with that.
I'm very passionate about it. I want to share everything that I know, and then I want you to take everything that you know and share it with the next person.
That's awesome. I know this answer, but for our listeners, are you a member of any professional groups or associations?
I am. I am a member of NACM Commercial Services, and as well as NACM National. And I am also a member of CFDD Portland chapter, and I sit as the secretary on the NACM Commercial Services Foundation Board, as well as the vice president on the CFDD Portland chapter, and I'm slated for the incoming presidency role for the Portland chapter in May.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So why are you part of so many different groups? What value do you see in this?
The value is you cannot learn everything on your own. And the more you can network and connect with other people, whether it's through Levelset or through NACM or just through random webinars that you may take, connecting with these individuals are going to build a base of people that you can pull their knowledge, and then you can share your knowledge, and it just becomes a back and forth. And I feel like to be successful in your career and to continue to grow and develop in your career and be the best version of yourself, you really need a network of individuals to not only share the wealth of knowledge that they have, but to be your cheerleader and to push you into stepping into an area that you weren't comfortable in.
Right. How do you think the industry will change in the next 10 years? Obviously with the pandemic, we're hoping it's going to go away, but even with that kind of dwindling out there still.
I kind of am perplexed on this. I mean, I really think that we'll continue to see a balance of employees working from home and managing from afar. I think that's going to become more of a norm than I think anybody was ready for. I think the housing market is really preparing for that, with every house that is built these days does have an office that's being built in it. And I think that that's just a projection of kind of where we are going. The benefits of that is that you're able to tap into talents all over the United States or even globally, depending on your company's organization, um, and meet so many people that you wouldn't normally meet if you were just working in a brick and mortar building. I think that we'll continue to see technology enhance, and it'll be interesting. If I look back at the last 25 years and just how technology has grown, from there, it'll be interesting to see kind of what the next 10 years bring. I think I'll still be surprised by it.
Yeah, the whole pandemic with the automation software and that sort of thing. I remember a gal that I spoke last year to, she was recognized as a woman in construction as well. She had never let anybody work from those. So she obviously had to get new software, train people how to use it, trust them to work from home. And it's surprising that employers seem to be doing really well with it. Like you said, you get talent from all over the place. So hopefully, that most of that still continues. Obviously, people want to get back in person with each other, but I think finding that talent is huge.
For sure.
What would you say is a challenge about being a woman in construction?
Well, I think that we've come a really long way. And so way back 25 years ago, I really kind of what comes to my mind instantly is actually when I was working at Western Pacific, we worked with international base of customers out of Korea and Japan. And I remember specifically my boss telling me I was getting ready to fax something over.
What is that?
And I know, right? And my boss said, "Oh, no, you can't put your name on it." And I was like, "What do you mean I can't put my name? Like, how are they going to know it's for me?" And they're like, "No, they don't really believe in women, holding these rights of power and being in leadership roles." And so we had to use our initials when we interacted with this international base of customers so that they could interpret however they wanted. So for me, that's the only thing that really comes to mind. I guess I've been fortunate enough that I haven't either one, I haven't seen it, or two, I've been fortunate enough that just my knowledge and the way I communicate with people, I haven't had any setbacks from being a woman in the credit department or in the credit or construction industry.
I mean, that's awesome. That tells you that we have come a long way. I would like to ask you a few more personal. If you weren't going to be a credit manager, what would you be?
Well, I think you already touched on that. I would be a motivational speaker.
Whether I say it or not.
Whether you say it or not, I think that's my next, my kind of goal in credit is to become a director of credit. And I think that I'm well on my way to that. And I think that after I master that, then my next desire challenge would be to go into some sort of mentoring role and being a public speaker full time.
Do you have any hobbies?
Not so much anymore. I'm kind of, I know it's hard to believe, but I have 7 grandkids and they keep us really busy. And so kind of our hobby right now is all of their sports and all of the activities that they participate in and all of their birthdays, which there's almost a birthday every single month. And so the kiddos just keep us really busy, but I really do enjoy downtime. I love to relax at the beach. I love to just sit and watch the ocean waves. And I haven't done it in about a year and a half, but my husband and I used to be really avid hikers. And so I think that it's time for us to get back out and start exploring the Pacific Northwest because there's so much beauty out here. And we're just kind of held up right now.
Well, do you have any advice that you would give to, I mean, you deal with students, getting them introduced to credit, into the construction industry?
Yeah, what would I say? I would say credit will take you places that you never thought that you could go. and you may not think that you have the skill set to do it, but if you like to talk with people and you like to solve problems, then credit would be a great starting point, and you would be amazed on how well you can grow in the credit field.
I absolutely love that. Well, thank you so much, Alaina, for your time, and congratulations.